Are you ready? You can start and just.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Mr. C, and the book that I'm going to read to you guys is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. There was a movie, Jurassic Park, and there's a new movie, Jurassic Park, that's coming out very soon. So I thought this might be an appropriate time to let you guys know how great the original book actually was. Because right now, a lot of you guys are slowly reading more and more books that technically don't have pictures in them. But the best part about reading this type of book is your own imagination. Okay, though I do have a couple of illustrations here that I figured I'd use just to emphasize the point. So I'm going to read to you two passages from this book and let you guys hopefully imagine your own Jurassic Park. With a whine, the rotors began to swing in circles overhead, casting shadows on the runway of the airport. Grant listened to the crackle in his earphones as the pilot talked to the tower. The helicopter raced along to the west toward the mountains. It began to climb and headed toward the north end of the island. Grant was trying to see through the dense fog. "It's not usually this thick," Hammond said, and he sounded worried. At the north end of the island, the hills were the highest, rising more than 2,000 feet above the ocean. The tops were in fog, but Grant saw the cliffs and crashing ocean below. "Unfortunately," Hammond said, "we have to land on the island. I don't like to do it because it disturbs the animals, and it's sometimes a bit thrilling. And we're starting our descent now. Hang on, folks." The pilot swung his gaze left then right, looking at the pine forest. The trees were still too close, and the helicopter descended rapidly. The beeping was louder, and Grant looked at the pilot, and he was concentrating. "We have to come down fast that way," Hammond said, "because of the wind shear. But we're safe." A narrow path wound down the hill as they walked along. The mist around them thinned, and Grant could see the landscape better. To the south, rising above the palm trees, Grant saw a single trunk with no leaves at all, just a big curving stump. And then the stump moved and twisted around to face the new arrivals, and Grant realized that he was not seeing a tree at all. He was looking at the graceful, curving neck of an enormous creature rising 50 feet into the air. He was looking at a dinosaur. So that's just an illustration just to give you an idea of what he was looking at. "My God," Ellie said softly. They were all staring at the animal above the trees. My God. His first thought was that the dinosaur was extraordinarily beautiful. Books portrayed them as huge, oversized, dumpy creatures, but this long-necked animal had a gracefulness, almost a dignity, about its movements. And it was quick. There was nothing lumbering or dull in its behavior. "My God," Ellie said again. And Gennaro was speechless. I'll stop here. And my second passage I'm going to read is a little bit more thrilling. But that first passage really gives an idea of the sense of wonder that the people in the book first had when they first saw their first living dinosaur. Okay. "Stay in the car. Stay down. Be quiet. Don't move. Don't make a noise." "Okay." "You should be all right. I don't think it can open the door." "Okay." "Don't arouse its attention any more than necessary." "Okay." Tim clicked the radio off. His sister nodded silently. She never took her eyes off the dinosaur. The Tyrannosaur roared. In the glare of lightning, they saw it pull free of the fence and take a bounding step forward towards the cars. The Tyrannosaur moved around the side of their car and went to the very spot where Tim had gotten out. The animal paused there, and its big head ducked down towards the mud. Its huge head raised back up, jaws open, and then stopped by the side windows. And in the glare of the lightning, they saw the beady, expressionless reptile eye moving in the socket, and they realized it was looking in the car right at them. His sister's breath came in ragged, frightened gasps. Perhaps the dinosaur couldn't really see them, he thought. "Timmy," Lex whispered. "It's okay," Tim whispered. "I don't think it saw us." He got back up, blinking in the darkness, his mouth warm with blood. And then there's a jolting impact, which rocked the Land Cruiser and shattered the windshield in the spiderweb as the Tyrannosaurus's head crashed against the hood of the Land Cruiser. Tim was knocked flat on the seat, and the night vision goggles slid off his forehead. The Tyrannosaurus stood near the front of the Land Cruiser, its chest moving as it breathed, the forelimbs making clawing movements in the air. Then the huge head came down, entirely blocking the shattered windshield, and the Tyrannosaur banged again on the front hood of the Land Cruiser. Tim grabbed the seat as the car rocked on its wheels, and the Tyrannosaur banged down twice more, denting the metal. I'll stop there, just because if you guys do read this book, which is a great book, I want you guys to see how this turns out yourselves. Because rather than watching a movie, when you listen to me reading, I hope you had your own imagination going through. Because whenever I read, I know I picture everything in my head, whether it's the graceful apatosaur or the terrifying Tyrannosaurus Rex. I simply picture them in my head, and it's more vivid than anything I could see on the big screen. And I get engrossed in these books. So usually, when I was your age, I used to read this book late at night with my parents asleep already and them yelling at me to sleep, but I would still stay up because I had to finish the book. I had to know how it ended. And I hope you guys enjoyed this book too. Thank you for listening.